could be a salesman or an engineer. Whatever his job, we can see that he's the kind of neighbor Dick likes to have and know. Dick and he may talk as neighbors do about the lawn, about plans for the evening, or about his job, especially about his job, because his work is a little special. What he has to say may someday save Dick's life, and maybe yours. What does this man do? His name is Johnnie Parsons, one of the country's champion race drivers, aiming for a second win at the Indianapolis 500. This champion and others of the Speedway have something to tell us. Not only Johnnie Parsons, but every man that drives well enough to race at Indianapolis is a champion. Those who carry 3 stripes on their cars are rookies on their first visit to the Speedway. Veterans of auto racing the world over, these are the finest drivers the sport produces. But before any man is allowed to qualify at Indianapolis, he must first be tested. One of the rookies tells why.
Back in 1935, there was a great driver who was the Eastern 3A champion and the best driver they had in the eastern part of the country. And he decided that when he got to Indianapolis, it was just like driving on the half-mile dirt tracks. And he only lived for 1 lap at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Because when he went down in the turn, he pitched her in there sideways and stood on the throttle, and he threw the car right over the wall. So the officials decided then that possibly they should set up some kind of a familiarization arrangement. Then the professional speedway drivers with 2 years of experience in the race or more go out and take over the 8 observer posts, and then they watch the man go through his 125-mile-an-hour test, and the drivers vote you in or out.
Their lives on the Speedway, as on the highway, depend not only on their own ability, but on the skill of every other driver. They must be convinced that the man is qualified to handle a machine of deadly power. Long before a man hooks up his safety belt or buckles on a helmet designed for safety, the Speedway has taken special precautions. First, the track medical office gives him a thorough examination. In competition, as in driving everywhere, he can't drive with blind spots. He must be aware of cars on the edges of his vision. His response to the changing traffic pattern must be reflex quick. There is another reflex, though, that the doctors can't test. The built-in respect for others that expresses itself as courtesy. And as important as color perception is the ability to see the other fellow's viewpoint, to drive his car as well as your own. Physical fitness goes hand in hand with mental alertness in meeting the challenge of the Speedway. Veterans and rookies share their knowledge of the track secrets, learn each other's methods, develop sure, safe counter strategy so that while the wall is an uncertain blur at 140 miles an hour, the skill and experience of each driver will bring all safely back to race again. At last, they are ready for the test of champions. The drivers have passed their tests with flying colors. The cars have passed their tests, setting amazing new qualification records. Johnnie Parsons turned laps at 144 miles an hour. Now, a crowd gathered from 48 states and a dozen foreign countries pours in. Dick and his dad are no exceptions. With Johnnie Parsons as the next-door neighbor, they have a special interest and real admiration for championship driving. Dick quickly picks him out as 33 of the best drivers in the world roll away from the starting line to begin the pace lap. Pat Flaherty is in the pole position inside front row, Jim Rathman next to him, and Pat O'Connor on the outside. Close behind are some of the greatest names in racing. Listen to a veteran driver's thoughts on running the Indianapolis race.
I got 500 miles to go today, a little under 4 hours. I'll probably have more thrills going home from the race on the 1,800 miles of highway, and it'll probably be safer here today than those 1,800 miles of highway, so I don't think I got anything to worry about.
Another veteran puts it much the same way.
I know I have 500 miles to run out there, and I know the fellows I'm running with are all real sharp, or they wouldn't be there in the first place. The fellows are alert. They know what they're doing. They've done it before, and I feel a lot safer with those guys than I would out on the highway where these people are daydreaming and don't know what they're doing.
When the pace lap ends, they'll be roaring toward the first turn at more than 130 miles an hour. Yet courtesy, not competition, is the first rule of the first turn. Cars which are now moving in three-lane traffic must crowd into a single-lane groove. Lack of respect for the other drivers can mean disaster for the race. The race is on. Into the first turn, Rathman roars into the lead as the drivers maneuver to find the groove, the invisible lane that is the fastest and safest way around. Safely through the first turn and into the second, the 40th consecutive year with a clean, safe start. O'Connor in number 7 passes Rathman to take the lead in the backstretch as the lap speed moves to 142 miles an hour, with the cars maneuvering through the turns inches apart. Pat Flaherty, pole position winner, slips into second behind O'Connor. In number 29, Russo has come up into third place. Pat Flaherty slips inside the groove as they head into the main straightaway. O'Connor meets Flaherty's challenge, but Russo comes down the straightaway at 180 miles an hour and passes both cars. O'Connor gives way, an incredible show of driving skill by both drivers. Lap by lap, Russo in number 29 stretches his lead, smashing all existing records as he completes 50 miles in 21 minutes. O'Connor and Flaherty try to stay with him. 450 miles to go. Can Russo keep this pace? Wheel and tire fly in all directions. Unhooking his safety belt, he's out of the car almost as soon as it stops moving. But his car is a hazard to 32 other drivers hurtling into the corner. There's the caution flag, but 2 drivers spin out, trying to avoid the wreckage ahead, while others alertly thread their way past the danger. A disabled vehicle on the way, as on the highway, means trouble. The field cuts its speed in half as the track is cleared. Then, the green light, and there they go. Flaherty takes the lead in car number 8. But on the backstretch, O'Connor charges number 7 right back into first place. O'Connor's mechanic wonders if the car can stand this pace. How much of a margin of safety is left? Flaherty wants to answer that question too. He rolls to the pits for tires, fuel, and a mechanical checkup. In 41 seconds, Flaherty is out of his pit with 3 new tires and fuel, hunting for the leader. But O'Connor isn't taking any unnecessary risks. 125 miles are behind him, but there is a lot of racing still to be done, and he wants his car right. Dick comes to his feet as Parsons makes his move. There he goes, into the lead. Parsons gets the position 1 sign and a go signal from his car owner. Flaherty charges in second place. Parsons is his target now, but Johnnie heads into the pits for fuel and tires. He's giving up the lead to play it safe. That's the mark of a champion. And Dick admires it. Smooth, careful driving gave him more laps before his pit stop than any other contender for the lead. Let Parsons tell how he does it.
One thing I have to bear in mind is to keep relaxed and not too tense, because tension will cause an accident, and you have to be relaxed to go the full 500 miles here at Indianapolis.
Smoothly and carefully, Parsons rolls back onto the track, blending with the traffic, slowly coming up to racing speed. It costs precious seconds, but can save lives. Parsons is 4th after his pit stop. Flaherty leads. Parsons keeps the pressure on the front runners. Flaherty's Irish luck is holding. His pit crew count the few remaining laps. No race is over until the checkered flag, and there it is. Flaherty wins it. The winning team to victory lane to meet George Francis Patrick Flaherty. who just won $93,000 with his driving skill. Flaherty drove a magnificent race, staying up among the leaders all the way, but keeping that extra margin of performance safely in reserve. Dick is a little disappointed that neighbor Parsons didn't win, but he recognizes a champion's performance when he sees it. The year's racing calendar is packed with exciting events, and when Dick's father is fortunate enough to earn a winter vacation, there's no question where a week ought to be spent. The sunny South, sandy beaches, and sizzling speeds. The half-mile wide surface of Daytona Beach has felt the pounding of auto speed runs for 50 years. Barney Oldfield, Ralph De Palma, Campbell, and many others have raced the clock on the sands of time. Those were the days of the famed specials, the cars that paced automotive progress and helped make the modern automobile fast and safe. Strictly stock production models are raced now, and modern drivers, men like Fireball Roberts, Curtis Turner, and Herb Thomas, will in time also be remembered for their skill behind the wheel. These champions know all there is to know about driving. And it's the mark of a real champion that he's glad to share his knowledge. Dick, like all of us, can learn the rules of safe driving from the experts. Quickly, he picks up information that will make him a safer and better driver. Here at Daytona Beach, the special know-how is know your road. There isn't a trick of car control these men don't know, including controlled spins. Here is Herb Thomas practicing on the south turn. He comes off the asphalt, onto dirt, then onto sand, while maintaining racing speed. On the highway at slower speeds, a driver has the same problems. There are right and wrong ways to drive through a curve. Slow down before entering a turn. Then, as you begin the turn, accelerate smoothly, and the car won't sway or swerve out of line. Now, same car coming too fast into the same turn. The driver brakes in the middle of the turn and ends up in the wrong lane. Look at the right way again, using power only at the right time. It's not only a more comfortable ride, it's actually faster. If you find yourself on the shoulder, put both front and rear wheels equally off the pavement. You can regain control if you don't fight the pavement edge. When attempting a left turn, don't cut the wheel until you are ready to move. Someone could hit you from behind, pushing you into a head-on collision with oncoming cars. On the tracks, a driver is signaled by his pit crew with all the information he needs to handle his car properly. Dick is reminded that highways have signals too, signals which should be understood at a glance by their shape. Let's look at them again. This octagon always means stop. The round means railroad. The diamond means decrease speed. Drive with caution. Rectangular means read it. Slow down for special instructions. But just because you know the rules, don't assume the other fellow does. Approaching this intersection, you have the right of way. The other fellow is disobeying that stop sign. Sure, he was wrong, but there is no advantage being dead right. Let's look at that near miss again. Traveling 30 miles an hour, you could stop in 88 feet. That's just about 3 first downs. But according to the National Safety Council, if the car had been traveling 40 miles an hour, stopping distance jumps to 149 feet, half the length of a football field. At 60 miles an hour, 366 feet, and both cars lose the ball game. But speed alone doesn't matter. You must also be alert. A veteran race driver puts his finger on the average driver's trouble.
Most of them not concentrating on the job, or they just don't know how long it takes to stop an automobile. They're following bumper to bumper, think they can stop in 3 feet, and they can't. High speeds, you just can't stop them things that quick.
There were more than 30,000 traffic fatalities last year. You can't control 200 horsepower with a fingertip. Professional drivers know better. They wear gloves to really grip the wheel and are in firm control every inch of the way. This is only part of the story of knowing the road, the car, and yourself. Dick, like all of us, has a lot to learn. But race time is near, and it's time to watch the experts in action. All Daytona roads lead to the beach, but it's no day for sunbathing. The stands are packed to see the climax of the 2-week performance roundup. The cars are given a last check before the drivers take over. Wind-blown sand and rain cuts visibility. Although windshields are cleaned before every race, today, drivers cover the glass with plastic sheets to be peeled off as flying sand destroys the topmost surface. At the pole position, Tim Flock, NASCAR champion. He knows what it'll take to win.
I won the championship by keeping my car in tip-top condition, keeping my wheels lined up with a good ignition and good spark plugs. On a racetrack, when you drive over your head, that means you're going to get in trouble. Know the road that you're actually driving on, know your automobile, and courtesy. I think courtesy is one of the biggest things on the highway today.
The asphalt backstretch is slick from an all-night drizzle. The green flag waits. They're off. A slip now among the leaders might pile up the entire field. Through the turn safely with Tim Flock out in front. The field follows Tim down the beach at better than 110 miles an hour and maneuvers into the turn. There's trouble as two of the boys lose control in soft sand. A chain reaction is starting. Will these drivers keep their wits about them? A good driver always drives ahead of himself, keeping an eye on general traffic conditions. Nobody is even scratched. What a display of car control. A safety patrol car holds the field until all the cars are restarted and the turn is clear. Then, Tim Flock shows the reason he's the national champion as he moves through the turn smoothly and easily, overtaking the stragglers. But for other drivers, it's not as easy as it looks. Over he goes. It's a good thing for Ralph Moody in number 12 that the sand is soft. Tim Flock keeps moving along, averaging almost 100 miles an hour. Number 12 is back in the race, but as Ralph Moody gets back, number 55, Junior Johnson, gets into trouble. Tim Flock continues to set the pace. Look out! It's Russ Truelove clipping at top speed as he nears the end of a 2-mile straightaway. His trouble started when he drifted out of the groove onto the soft sand. He's all right, walking away without a scratch. Tim Flock setting new records as he goes. The fastest way is always the smooth way, and he competition how to do it. Junior Johnson in number 55 still eager to catch Tim. He's not giving up, even though he's losing time, not gaining it. He's carrying power too far into the turn. Here he is again, pushing hard. Uh-oh! He's out the back way, but it's a long way home if you have to walk. Tim Flock is flying. He laps the entire field as he nails down first place. And just in time, the tide is rising. Through the turn for the last time. Smooth, sure, fast as ever. A real champion. And a champion's reward. A kiss from his wife, a warm embrace for one of their 5 children, and the victor's trophy for a new Daytona record. Racing on the beach is one kind of racing. It's another brand of horsepower on the 1 3/8 track at Darlington, South Carolina. This is the World Series of stock car racing. 500 punishing miles for men and machines. Here, as on the highway, a driver must be able to count on a car. His life depends on it. Every car is taken apart down to the last engine valve. Defective parts are replaced, and the car reassembled piece by piece clean, tuned, ready to meet the demands for peak performance. These cars are strictly stock. The only modification allowed are those which protect the driver against injury. Roll bars are required. Headlights are taped to keep glass off the track in case of accident. And seat belts must be firmly anchored to the car frame and in good condition. The margin of safety, the extra burst of acceleration and passing power, often lies in the ignition. Dirty or worn spark plugs are replaced. The car must be certified safe and stock before it's allowed on the track. Then, race day. Down the straightaway to the starting line comes the Paris Island Marine Band as the stands overflow with the largest crowd in stock car racing history. The cars are waiting. Behind the funny names is real performance, careful preparation. Everything which can be done to improve automotive performance has been done. Fireball Roberts in car number M1 moves into the pole position, inside front row. The pace car rolls away, and 75 cars begin to move. They go once around in a parade lap to salute the grandstands and line up smoothly, ready for a flying start. 51 cars have qualified faster than 100 miles an hour, but top speed alone won't win this race. Buck Baker, a former winner, puts it this way.
That car will run faster than you can hold it on this track. Every guy's trying to win, but he's got to give that other guy a break too, because everybody's subject to making a mistake, and you can't kill him just because he's in the wrong. You've got to be a safe driver to make a good driver.
Fireball Roberts grabs the lead. Tim Flock in number 16 comes off the high bank as they move up the backstretch. Flock is challenging for the lead as they head into the third turn. Fireball hugs the rail as Tim Flock tries to go inside. Inches from the guardrail, Fireball roars through the fourth turn, but Tim Flock's car has that extra performance. Coming into the front straightaway, the leaders overtake the tail of the field. Tim Flock slips by into first place, and number 36, Brother Ponty Flock, takes second. They're moving past, but are still masters of their cars. Risks are carefully calculated as they travel over 100 miles an hour. Up the backstretch, Tim Flock eases his pace to save his car for the long grind ahead. Following a pre-race plan, Ponty Flock takes the lead as Fireball Roberts tries to match his pace. Buck Baker in number 89 shows tremendous driving skill. Fireball Roberts stands on his brakes and skids. There's another spin. No, he regains control. On the track or on the highway, wherever a driver pushes the car beyond its limits of mechanical endurance, the result is trouble. The track is cleared and high speeds are resumed. Herb Thomas makes his move. Two-time winner of the Southern 500. He sets a pace that keeps him within striking distance of the leaders with a minimum of strain on motor and tires. There's trouble ahead. Thomas's car responds magnificently as he slips through inches from the rail, but the way is blocked for a total of 7 other cars. Herb Thomas uses the caution period for a fast pit stop, fueling up and having his car checked for the last 100 miles. Joe Weatherly has the lead. There's the green flag, and Thomas is on his way. Joe Weatherly, the leader, is lapping the field. He stands on the accelerator, opening up his lead in an all-out run for the checkered flag. Can car and driver stand the strain? Thomas's number 92 is real performance. Driving smoothly and steadily, he maintains relentless pressure on the front runner. The competing pit crews watch the butt of the champions. Weatherly keeps his foot all the way down, but Thomas won't budge from the smooth, steady pattern that has given him 2 Southern 500 victories. Tim Flock spins to avoid a wreck as Weatherly's car gives way less than 60 miles from victory. He gambled and lost. The news is relayed to Weatherly's mechanics, who labored a month getting that car ready for the race. Weatherly's all right, but Thomas, driving a smooth, well-planned race, is even better. Moving now into first place, the Thomas crew is jubilant. Smokey Yunick, chief mechanic, watches as Thomas comes around for the last time. Thomas comes up to the checkered flag for his third victory in the Southern 500. It's a victory, too, for the men who serviced the car, the men who saw to it that Thomas had full measure of dependable performance with the right kind of motor tune-up and ignition system. Thomas rolls toward the winner's circle to celebrate a champion's performance. He was never lower than 8th position, but paced himself within the margin of safety for a full 500-mile run. Thomas's speed was 92.281 miles an hour, but victory and track records alone do not make champions. Thomas puts it this way: I mean it when I say I'm much safer in an auto race than driving on the highway. We're professionals, and we know how to handle speed. If you want speed, go to an auto race. Get yourself a car, and we'll help you get started. In 10 laps, you'll either be a race driver or have all the speed you want for a lifetime. Thomas talks from experience, but better than the hard knocks of experience is education. Driver education. The same good sense about safe driving that Dick learned from veteran drivers is being offered in driver clinics all over the country by the champion Spark Plug Company safety team. Just as Johnnie Parsons has always told his neighbor Dick, a good driver is a safe driver. Know your road, know your car, and know yourself. This is good advice from champion drivers who live by driving. Take it from a champion.